Hey Jordan, this is Dominique from Sure Sports. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I know that the team is going to be joining, but just so I'm clear, is this going to be uh, something that is going to be live and so anyone can join?
So I keep it private
Ah,
just for the group, but I create a recording of it to send out later.
got it.
I'm
Okay.
always hesitant about live because it's like you never really know who's watching
Right.
and if that's it. And then look, in our society, you say one wrong thing and
Right.
there you
I
go.
understand completely. Right. Understood.
Especially in
Understood.
this space.
Right.
Forget about
Indeed.
it. So yeah, we record it and then we'll share the recording. I can convert it to Vimeo and share that link. I have a channel and things like that, or I can give you guys the MP4 and you can cut it however you want and um, like iMovie or something and use it to your needs. So I usually keep it in speaker view. I can kind of switch between gallery view and speaker view for the recording purposes.
Okay, great. So it's not going to show, it'll just show the speakers as such,
Yeah,
according
correct.
to, okay, great. All right, awesome.
Hey, Dom. Hey,
Hey,
Jordan.
girly.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
You
I
look
love
very
your.
professional.
What'd you say?
You look very professional.
Well, I have my pajama pants on, so I appreciate that.
Nice.
Just don't ask you to stand up.
All good.
Especially since it's recording.
Oh shoot! You'll take that off, right?
Oh yeah, this no. All this, yeah, so this what I do is when I actually share the recording, I start it once the meeting starts.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
all this banter is out. Yes.
Okay. I love
Awesome.
your background. We need a custom background.
You know, in the boardroom.
I know.
Right.
Fancy. I do Zoom happy hours with my girlfriends, and like Bravo TV came out with like backgrounds, so we all have different. There we go. I love it. So for the longest, I had that. And then I joined a work call, and it was like I was in Andy Cohen's clubhouse, and I was like, "Oh, I need to take this off."
Yeah. Nice. So I'm going to turn off all my Wi-Fi's to have maximum internet latency here.
Yep, that's what I have to do too.
So Cassandra, I'm gonna unlock the share screen feature. See if you can share your screen. Okay, so if you click share screen, just ensure that you can do that. Do you see where to do it?
Yep, I'm working on it.
Cool.
Okay. Let's see.
Nice. So then, yeah, just put it in a slideshow. There you go.
How's that look?
Good. Yep. There you go.
Okay, perfect.
So this will probably record then with the screen share instead
Okay.
of your big screen per se.
Okay. Do you think that works?
Yeah, that's great. And when you're done sharing, you can just stop sharing and it'll go back to speaker view.
Okay.
So it's give it a couple more minutes.
Okay.
And Aaron said he might jump on like 15 minutes in.
Okay, cool. He should.
That's what I said.
The FedEx guy inevitably comes when I'm always on a conference call. So you hear my dog in the background. I just hope everybody gives me a pass.
That's fine.
I'll mute myself as fast as possible. Hopefully Leon will take over, but
I also am curious if you guys can talk about it, the general pivot in your business structure with all these sports coming to a halt with players not getting paid and things like that. I'm actually really interested if you guys made some new relationships and agents and players actually sought you out that maybe hadn't had you on their radar before. So
yeah, we can definitely discuss it. We've seen a huge change and shift. Definitely new relationships, especially when it comes to real estate. We've had quite a few, and we'll get into this when everybody's on, but we've had quite a few players who had, traditional mortgage financing that fell through because they're no longer guaranteed a paycheck. And then they've kind of come to us, with the assumption that we're just an alternative lender to see if we can get it done. So we're hoping to obviously change that kind of misconception, but the fact that they're not, they can't meet traditional real estate and mortgage standards, they were able to get financing done through us. So
that's a good point too, from if you're a specialty lender and you get stigmatized as that and you do have competitive rates from traditional products, I would love for you guys to expand on that, because obviously that's a one-stop shop. And to me, it's always going back and forth who's in the lead of that horse race. Is it the big banks? Is it the private brokers? Is it local? Is it national? Kind of what's the jockeying for position there for competitiveness of rates? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, our rates are competitive and we touch on it, but there's certain exceptions that we can grant at Shore Sports that Fannie Mae wouldn't, or Penny Mac. All of those guys, they have their system, and that's what it is. So definitely, not only are our rates competitive with those type of facilities, but we can grant exceptions and get different things done that they just can't.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so Leon's coming on too, right?
He is, yeah.
Okay.
He's on his way.
Hey, Adam, did you sell that house?
Yeah. We had 20 showings in 2 days and 9 offers. Sold it for $250,000 over.
And it closed?
Yep. You want some pictures?
Yes.
Well, use that one of us. I mean, him with him and I, and just say sold.
Perfect. I'll send you some ideas on what I think it will work on the final product there. So he's
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, he was happy. Absolutely.
Nice.
Where was the property? I'm just curious.
So I'm in New Hampshire. So the property, the lake behind me is Lake Winnipesaukee, but this was on one of the smaller lakes. So it's Lake Winnisquam, and we just sold a nice property there with, and I'm forgetting his name. What the heck's his name?
Ryan Day.
There we go. Ryan Day. You can tell. Yeah, no, one of my agents is her husband's ex-professional hockey player, and they're friends with Ryan Day. And so we sold his house, and he was super happy. We thought we were on an aggressive price, and then meaning high, but then we just had all this activity. New Hampshire's getting a huge amount of activity right now because people are moving out of Boston. So
Interesting.
everybody wants up to be in their second home or have a second home.
I was gonna say, is that typical for a house to go that much over in that area?
No, we're not even used to multiple offers. So we're just kind of,
Wow.
it's just a crazy time for us. We have so many plates. Like my town, we only have in my town 100 sales in a year. But you know, our town goes from 8,000 to like 30,000 in the summertime, all the second home people.
Right.
But it's with this whole COVID thing, everybody's here, everybody's standing in the ice cream lines, but everyone's got, you know, not everyone has masks on. So we could be the next people on the news, I think.
Like, yeah, this is gonna be here for a little while. We're on the news now. We're down in South Florida, so it's our turn in the hot seat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our office is in Hollywood. I'm in the Fort Lauderdale area, and then a lot of our companies like Fort Lauderdale to Miami.
Well, I'm working on a man bun here with 3 months of no haircut, so keep the hat on that front. So here's Leon. Hey, Leon, what's up, man? He's muted. It's an amateur hour here. Come on, Leon. There you go.
Hey, Jordan, how are you? So,
Hey, how are you?
I apologize. I'm going through two devices, and now I'm just on my phone. So I'm not sure. I'm frozen on everything else. So I apologize for keeping you waiting.
You're good. You're good. So Cassandra's sharing her screen. So we're going to use that as kind of the informational slides as part of the presentation. So we'll get started here. I do expect some. So Leon, now you're on 2. You might have to quit one of those because you're going to have a echo. Sit here. Here you go. So Leon, can you log off on one of those?
Yep, I think the other one that's frozen is actually logged off on.
Okay.
I'm not sure how long it's going to stay there, but I shut it down. Hopefully.
Cool. Good. Okay, it's all good. No worries. No worries. So we'll get started. I'll edit the video to this point, Cassandra. So I want to introduce Leanne McKenzie and Cassandra Santiago from Sure Sports. I guess I met the two of you through Ed Kastner, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. And Ed is part of this network when he feels like it, with some insurance coverage, and also in the Florida region. So are you in Hollywood? Or is that where you guys are?
Yes, Hollywood, Florida.
Excellent. And Leanne and Cassandra have a good relationship with Darren Heitner, who may be on this call. And Darren's spoken to this group as well. He's our attorney. So
is Darren coming on?
You know Darren, Melissa?
Darren's my attorney.
Oh, great. Okay.
Darren's everybody's attorney.
let's
I
never
love my
get
lawyer.
it against each
Yes.
other then. Yeah. So we'll have to fight it out. So yeah, Darren should be on, but until then, he's not the focus of this call. So he can watch it. So Leon, if you want to, you and Cassandra take the lead. She has the slides. I think your product, as Cassandra and I were saying, is unique to the space of sports entertainment, that the McKenzie mortgage. And then in addition to that, we want to ensure that your what we'll call traditional lending loan products are also competitive. So we don't want to create like a stigmatization of only being a specialty lender with a group of realtors that can essentially use your services. So, but I do want to focus on how Sure Sports came to be, what type of products you offer that are very unique, and also touch on this pandemic being maybe a differentiator in your business with a couple guaranteed contracts, people that were used to getting paid that hadn't gotten paid and had to look for a different type of route, and maybe have developed some relationships in your space with you. So.
Sure. Thanks, Jordan. So Sure Sports is an independent private bank for professional athletes. My name is Leon McKenzie. I'm the president of Sure Sports. Cassandra Santiago is our marketing manager. And so as an independent private bank, we're able to customize. We only do credit facilities, and we only do credit facilities for professional athletes. So we don't even get into other sorts of entertainers, actors, singers, and the like. Our focus is just on roughly the 4,500 professional athletes over the 4 major sports plus MLS. That's NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and NHL, in addition to Major League Soccer. So our competitive advantage is that we can actually use the players' contracts as an asset on their balance sheet. So whether you're fresh out of college, which is probably the easiest example, you sign a contract, you really don't have anything, you haven't accumulated any wealth, you haven't started getting paychecks, you might sign a $10 million contract, and after you back out 40% taxes, you have at least on your balance sheet about $6 million net worth. That's our competitive advantage, and that's what Cassandra put together a nice slideshow, and we'd like to kind of take you through some of our different products. And then Jordan, if it's okay, I'd love to touch on the pandemic and how that's impacted some things a little bit later after we run through some.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we can tie in some questions at that point in time.
Yep. Great.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to give you kind of an introduction, in addition to some of the things Leon just mentioned about Sure Sports, exactly who we are, what we do, and our overall product line, and then we'll kind of drill down into specifically how those products can relate to the real estate world in general. So just some information about Sure Sports. We were established in 2009, so we've been doing this quite some time. We're really this unique marriage between a bank and a bunch of sports lovers. So our ability to really offer specific products tailored to professional athletes has allowed for our longevity in this space and our ability to work with so many clients. We've worked with over 1,100 athletes in the 5 major sports leagues, as Leon mentioned, that's NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, and MLS. To give you an idea of the amount of the volume that we're kind of doing, we've closed over $350 million in loans. Many of those were facilities to purchase real estate. And this year we're projected to do about 100 million. So we're still moving and shaking even with COVID, and we'll kind of get into all of that at the end. And really we are a full service private bank tailored exclusively to professional athletes. So any type of credit, financing, mortgage that an athlete could get at a big box bank, he can get through Sure Sports with better banking for athletes in mind. So when I talk about better banking for athletes, I'll go through a couple of points that really differentiate us from other lenders. The majority of our loans are unsecured. Obviously, we're going to get into real estate, so not all are. But when I talk about a loan being unsecured, the benefits of that are that really the use of funds is limitless. So an athlete can borrow money and use those funds for whatever he likes, whether that be a first property, second property, investment property, or something of the sort. Additionally, being that the loans are generally unsecured, we use the contract as collateral. So rather than looking at past income history or looking at credit score, we're looking at the player's contract and future market value. I warned you guys that the FedEx guy was going to come at this exact time, so I will try to get through this quickly. King, please.
You're good.
So our rates are super competitive. Again, our unique ability to work with professional athletes. He's going to leave the package and then I'll hop back in. Sorry about that. Never fails. Want a cookie? Come here. Sort of works, but not really. King. Okay, so our history of the business and our ability to work with professional athletes, we're able to get them super competitive rates. So something that Jordan and I were kind of talking about initially at the beginning of this call is we're often seen as an alternative lender. People come to us kind of as a second or last resort, but really we're able to get, our rates are able to compete with what you're seeing elsewhere. And we also offer so many other features and benefits for the professional athlete client that really, it makes sense for you to let us take a look at any type of financing that you could potentially need for one of your clients. Our repayment's completely customized to the professional athlete. Athletes are full of different personalities. Some are better at managing cash flow than others. We kind of just take that issue away. So we don't require any off-season payments, and our repayment schedule matches the player's contract. We're able to get funding faster. We can grant certain exceptions. We know how to analyze a contract. There are a ton of different things that play into Shore Sports expertise that allow us to get our funds faster than anywhere else. I mean, our traditional mortgage can generally close within 30 days. Typically, we're looking at 45 to 60. Some of our other products can close within 2. And the most important thing is approvals. We're going to get your client approved for financing. You don't want to be calling 7 different lenders, or at the 8th hour, your funding fell through. You call Shore Sports, you've got a professional athlete client, we're going to make sure we get it done for you. And then just kind of a list of all of the services that we offer. So we offer contract advances. They're pretty self-explanatory. It's an advance on a professional athlete contract. We offer pre-draft loans, which also can be used to purchase real estate for players who are entering the NFL and NBA drafts. We offer free agency and arbitration loans, which is financing based on a future market analysis of the player. So what they're going to be worth, not what they were worth in their previous contract. Huge in real estate because players are about to sign a big contract for a lot of money for quite some years, and they're looking to live in the means that they know they're worth, not off of their rookie contract. The McKenzie mortgage, which we'll get very, very detailed into that. It's a mortgage designed exclusively for professional athletes. We offer business loans. A lot of athletes are starting to invest in themselves while they're still playing outside of their sports career. These are some of my personal favorite loans to do. And we've had a lot of business loans that are kind of tied around real estate, which Leon will also get into later in the presentation. We also offer insurance premium financing. So players looking to protect their future market value with an LOV policy, we can finance those premiums as well. I'll let Leon kind of jump into some of our more specific real estate products.
Sure. Thank you, Cassandra. This one is one of my favorite, the McKenzie Mortgage, named after yours truly. And so the McKenzie Mortgage is exclusive for professional athletes in that we can do up to 110% financing for the purchase of residential property. So let me just run that back. That's 110% financing for the purchase of residential property, whereas I'm sure everyone here on the line knows that most lenders will tap out somewhere 75, 80, maybe 85%. And so what this allows us to do, particularly for athletes, football has a lot of big signing bonuses, but if you guys are sports fans, baseball, basketball, hockey has some signing bonuses of significant amounts as well. But a lot of times when players are entering a new city, they're about to either, whether it's a trade or, as Cassandra touched on, free agency, when a player goes to play in a new city, he hasn't gotten that money yet. So that's all great that he signed that contract. And then they say, meet me in the next city and be ready to play. Well, he has to find a realtor. He has to find a place to live. And so those funds from that new contract haven't started coming in yet. And so the ability to cover the down payment is really, really, really significant. How do we get to 110% financing? Well, it's comprised of two pieces. One piece would be very similar to what you're familiar with. Let's call it a 70% LTV, 30-year, 4% mortgage, just off the top of my head. The other piece would be the remaining 40% would be based on the player's contract and term out over the life of a player's contract. So if a player signs a 2-year contract, that other 40% would be termed out over 2 years. Player signs a 7-year contract, that other 40% would be termed out over 7 years. The benefit for both players who have a host of reserves and players who are just starting to build their wealth is they don't have to run down their cash position where they can borrow the money at 3, 4, 5% as well and be able to pay that money going forward off of that new contract as opposed to dipping into whatever savings they put together thus far in the league. Our rates are extremely competitive, as Cassandra spoke about. In most cases, we can actually beat most competitors given the same lending profile because all we do are professional athletes, and professional athletes have some very specific, such as a lot of athletes would prefer or need a customized repayment schedule. And that's because athletes in all sports all U.S. sports except for basketball, they're not paid all year round. So football players are generally only paid 4 months. The new collective bargaining agreement has that moving to 8 months. But baseball players and hockey players are only paid 6 months out of the year. So you can have a 4-year loan, 4 or 5 year loan customized, or part of the McKenzie mortgage customized. So you're only paying during those 6 months out of each year, and no payments in the off season when you're not getting paid. So then we'll jump to contract-based real estate financing. So what does that ultimately mean? Well, it means that we're financing your real estate based off of the contract that you have or the contract that you're coming into. So you may want to buy a $2 million house, and rather than going through some of the time that it would take to get the inspection, is the appraisal going to come in on time? These type of questions, if your contract is sufficient, you can get that house regardless. If it's $2 million and the appraisal comes in at 1.8 and now they're going to cut your financing, no, we're able to give you, as shown on the previous slip, but we can use your contract to get to that 110% financing regardless of where the appraisal actually comes in. The competitive advantage for the buyer, we always want to have a buyer in a powerful position. Nothing more powerful than doing a cash purchase. Well, when you know that your contract is sufficient and Shore Sports has the ability to provide financing for you immediately because we already know the value of your contract, you actually can go to your clients. You can take your clients to the seller or the seller's agent and say, look, we're ready to do this today. We're going to make a cash offer. And we actually recommend that most of our clients make cash offers for about 10% under the asking price, because we actually have an average savings of a little over 8% off of the asking price, which obviously can get fairly significant when you start talking about a $1 million home. That's $80,000 that you just helped your client to save in doing so. The rates are, again, competitive. We can fund out of urgency inside of 2 days if we really needed to, but most of our loans will close within 10 to 14 days, which is really the ability to get the best rates off the guy's contract and still be able to make an aggressive purchase, allowing for enough time for your client to get an inspection on the respective property. Again, just because we're doing a mortgage, and we talked a lot, I've spoken a little bit about players picking up homes and or investment properties in the off season. The no payments till the season starts is really advantageous to a lot of our players because they want to make their payments when they're actually getting paid as opposed to out of their reserves. And so we think that that's really one of the big advantages that no other institution within reason is going to be able to do. And then just because we use the contract to acquire the property, we don't have any prepayment penalties. So we can roll everything right into a more customized and traditional facility if that's what's best for your client at that time. So free agency and arbitration, we've touched on a little bit. How do we get that done? Well, the player may be waiting for an extension, staying in his own city. We're able to do a market value analysis of what his contract and what his next contract is going to look like. You'll see this very often, basketball and football in particular. There's a decent amount on the free agency side, and then hockey and baseball you'll see a lot on the arbitration side. But this allows us to be able to project what the player is going to make this contract. And in cases like baseball arbitration, where players generally go through 3 years of that baseball arbitration, it gives us an ability to use their projected cash flow and their projected contracts to make a loan. And so these things also get into when I talk about some of the advantages, fast relocation comes up, not only when you have players traded. I think that's one of the biggest, I think everybody here, and I know Jordan knows, when guys get traded, that's when they need something in a hurry, and being able to know what that existing contract and what that future contract is going to look like, I think is extremely, extremely important. And so the contract-based lending, being able to convert to a conventional mortgage at and when the right time is for that player, I think is one of the huge benefits for our clients and for your clients.
So let me stop here for a second.
Sure.
I do want to open it up to a few quick questions, Leon.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I know that Jeff, you had a question. If you want to ask that, just based off your back experience, if you want to introduce yourself.
Excellent. Hey guys, Jeff House. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. Apologize, I'm driving to a showing. But my background was in collegiate professional coaching, basketball for 34 years. 18 of those years I spent on the women's, dealt with or have any programs or things around the WNBA athlete, or coach half the year here. Those players and the top players will go overseas. So how would you handle those type of banking and financing needs when they're in multiple countries throughout the year?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jeff. I think if Jeff, you were breaking up a little bit, but I think the question was for particularly a lot of, it could be any sport, but I know a lot of the players in WNBA go and play overseas during part of the year, and that might actually even represent, if not a significant, maybe as much as a bulk of their income, and how would that be handled? So I believe that's what I heard, Jeff. And so
Yeah.
to answer that, is that what you heard, Jordan?
Yes.
Okay. So to answer that question, that does present a little bit of a challenge if the bulk of the income is coming from overseas. So we've approved WNBA players in the past. We have that leads into a great segue for, we have a ton of international players that we do business for. But if you're talking particularly about the WNBA, where a lot of players actually make more money overseas, and that's the primary source of income, we really haven't mastered that yet. What we have mastered are our hockey players and our baseball players. Now we're seeing more basketball players who are from a different country, maybe live in a different country, are not U.S. citizens, and we are able to do financing for them here to purchase real estate, even without them being U.S. citizens. And so the nationality is not going to matter. The league source is going to matter a little bit. And I hope I addressed your question, Jeff.
Okay. Hey, Ray, do you have a question? Ray, do you have a question, my man?
Yeah, I was just wondering if y'all service the loans as well, or do y'all sell them once they're performing?
Shore Sports is going to be there from beginning to end. So Shore Sports will be your main point of contact, and we'll continue to service through. When I say, let me go back on that. We'll service the bulk of the mortgage for as long as you're playing. So we'll service the mortgage for as long as you're playing. At which point, to the point where the client stops playing, then we probably will move the service to somewhere else.
Cool.
So while we do a lot of lending, we really are a service-based company, and so we're going to be end-to-end throughout the player's career, for the first purchase, potentially multiple homes, to potentially whatever real estate investments they may get into.
So generally deal with me on your preliminary request. You'll always be able to reach someone at Shore Sports. That's something that we really pride ourselves on with our athlete exclusivity. You know, we're always available. We're always kind of there to walk through the situation, answer any questions as things change. I recently had a client who, you know, he was looking at 3 different properties and made 3 different offers in 3 days. And, you know, he just deals with me. We get it done. We change the docs, we move and shake. And so, you know, Leon is 1,000% right in the fact that we are truly full service. And, you know, we are going to make sure that we're consistently doing the best by you and your clients.
Cool. Adam, that's a good question if you want to ask that.
Yeah, just curious. I know competitive rates means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I was just wondering how competitive your rates are.
So appreciate that, Adam. I think that's a great question. So our rates move every day as we're actually capitalized by multiple banks. So our rates on the mortgages are going to be right at or just below, I would say, even, you know, there's a lot of different factors, but we're going to be in the low 3s on most of our products. And so where we have a competitive advantage, even though we're taking these capital from our banks, is that where athletes get tied up a lot, and that was one of the later parts in this presentation, where athletes get tied up quite a bit, is in their in what we call some of the red tape and some of the exceptions that athletes that don't get paid year round are normally looking for houses in their off season. And so getting some of those exceptions and not making them count against them and drive up the rate is where Shore Sports has a competitive advantage. So when we say competitive rates, if you, let's say City National Bank or SunTrust Bank or Bank of America is quoting your guy 375, it's very rare that we couldn't be within 1/8 of a point of that. And it's equally as rare if we couldn't beat it. So
it's not like it's hard money rates or anything like that.
No, I mean, we do have, so we certainly have situations where the guys that hey, I'm going with Wells Fargo and I have a $500,000 deposit down, and Wells Fargo leads them right up to the day before. You know, can we come in and save that? Yes, we can, and then roll it in. And we would pull, that's what we call our private line. We would pull that at a rate of like 1% a month and refinance them out inside of 15 to 30 days. So we can save a lot of deals, but we wouldn't do that if you brought us a client with 15 to 30 days.
Got it.
But it's there.
Cool. So it's really, and then low credit, Leon, it really
Yeah,
just
so
not part of the situation.
So look, credit score is always going to be a little bit of the narrative, but it's significantly less here for us, and I think we'll get to that as well. But to address that, we're looking more. Banks have a tendency to lend backwards, meaning what's your credit score been up to now? What do your tax returns say up to now? What do your pay stubs say up to now? Shore Sports is going to lend forward. What are your pay stubs going to say? What's your ability going to be to repay? And therefore, can you or should you reasonably be able to pay your bills? So while credit score may still be a factor, the weight of the credit score, where with some banks, if it's below 620, it's a decline, or even 580. We've done mortgages to people in the high 4s. So it matters, but it is significantly mitigated here at Shore Sports if you have a contract that support the property that you're going into.
Great. Okay.
So Jordan, I'll jump back into this, and you let me know when we have enough questions, and I'm more than happy to hear myself talk all day. So What's one of the big growth factors have been our business loans, but another one have been a lot of our real estate investment loans, the commercial properties, and those things have been anywhere from multifamily. We've had a bunch of guys, a lot of hockey guys, buying into essentially REITs, real estate investment trusts, and income producing properties, office buildings, and so what we love seeing our athletes do in 2020 that maybe they didn't do in 2009 is taking advantage of their brand and their interest and building income into perpetuity. And so it's a great opportunity while you're getting paid and not have to say, look, I'd like to develop this commercial property or redevelop this commercial property, and then be a 24-year-old and go sit in front of a commercial credit committee, be tied up in there anywhere from 2 to 6 months, trying to get an approval from a key bank or something of that sort. So here you have the opportunity with Shore Sports for us to look at your contract and be able to provide you that same sort of loan, whether it's a construction loan or some sort of development loan or buying into an existing building, and be able to take advantage of what your sports contract actually says that you could repay, even if the commercial property is ultimately going to be the repayment source. And so that has allowed a lot of our athletes to get involved in commercial real estate in a way that they just wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So the other thing that we've seen a lot, particularly in this administration, is the opportunity zones, which have popped up all over the place with huge tax benefits for a lot of our players. Leading in with tax benefits, that is a big deal for professional athletes. If you're not familiar with what's referred to as a job tax, most athletes pay somewhere between 45 and 50% taxes off of their reported salary. By owning real estate, or commercial real estate, or investment real estate, those athletes can actually reap some of the tax benefits. We have a couple of athletes who have gotten involved in some of the REITs, and while they may only own 5 or 10% of all of the real estate within that real estate group, they're taking 100% of the tax benefits. This is a big deal for athletes because they're able to actually shelter multiple millions of dollars a year by taking all the tax benefits of some of their partnerships, because real estate investors traditionally try to show losses. That's great, but if the athlete can take some or most of those losses, might not be at this time of their careers worried about the cash benefits, but really sheltering some of their own income, and then maybe getting some of the cash benefits, additional cash benefits after, or at the backside or after their career. Red tape, again, the less red tape, the less we have to do environmental, not that you shouldn't still do your due diligence, but to be able to move at the pace that you want to move, not the pace that the bank or the financing entity wants to move, is always key. When we have your contract, we can turn that financing around for you in no time at all. For you guys, as realtors, and I think most of the people on here are realtors, this is an excellent opportunity. So person's moving into your area. I think Jeff was from Ohio. Someone's moving in. You help them buy their first house. Great. But then there might be a multifamily building that comes for sale, and being able to present them with that, and or present them with the financing structure or strategy that will allow them to be able to move in and be quick on this project when they have other interests, and obviously they have an obligation to their teams. I think that this is a great opportunity for you to get the second, third, fourth sale and be able to help them with the financing and really build on that relationship. And then, of course, there's always the questions about the traditional mortgage. And so our competitive advantages to a traditional mortgage, that's great. We're going to have competitive rates. I think we already discussed kind of what that ultimately means. But because we only deal with professional athletes, we're going to have our flexible down payments. We're working on a $4 million mortgage for a player right now, and he has 2 signing bonuses that will be paid out. And so we've actually married what would have been his initial down payments traditionally to the 2 times that his signing bonus are going to come out. So being able to be creative within a traditional mortgage, instead of him bringing on that $4 million, bringing $1.5 million to the table on his 2 large bonuses, he's going to pay that down in 750 and 750 to be left with a plus or minus 65-70% LTV mortgage. So that speaks to our ability to do a flexible down payment. Again, fast closings. I think our fastest closing was for an NBA player. That was years ago. He was #1 overall pick, and I think we closed on a traditional mortgage in, I want to say, 16 days.
Yeah, we did one in 9 days this year, Leon. 9-day mortgage approval.
That is actually true. Yes. So of course, when it was just me by myself, I did one in 16 days. No, I'm just kidding. And so I also touched on the ability to grant exceptions. This is really big because this is where most of your mortgages will slow down. You guys are pre-approved, then you need a bank statement, then you need a pay stub. Guy hasn't been paid in months. Now you have to run it to the underwriter, see if you can get it back. You need 3 years of tax returns. Well, he's only been in the league 2 years. He's only filed 1 year of taxes. Okay, let me see if I can get. Those aren't conversations you're going to have at Shore Sports. And so those things, and I think another one that we see all the time, guy coming off his rookie deal is making $1 million a year, just signed a 4-year, $160 million contract. He wants a $6 million house. Well, according to his tax returns, he can't pay for that $6 million house. So we're going to go ahead and decline it, or try to have them prove that this money is guaranteed going forward. Those, again, are not the types of hangups that your players or your clients, your professional athlete clients, are going to have at Shore Sports, and that's where we talk about our competitive advantage.
Another exception that we're able to grant that I do want to mention is we're able to get approvals for players who are non-U.S. citizens. So huge for our MLB, MLS guys, even NBA. Those are workarounds that we're able to get done just because we've got the experience doing it, because we work with so many of those types of players. So super important. I know we recently did a mortgage for a player. He plays in Toronto. He's a Venezuelan citizen and was looking to purchase a home in South Florida. And that's the one we actually were able to get him approved within 9 days for his mortgage. So
that's not just approved. That was to closing, wasn't it?
Yeah. 9 business days.
Yes. So that speaks to our capability. And I think that Cassandra makes an excellent point. When you're dealing with professional athletes, I know MLS, Jordan, I know that you've been doing a ton of work in MLS, as well as done extensive work in NHL. So you're going to have a lot of clients that are moving around with very little minimum cash here, not U.S. citizens. Those things are traditionally challenges that Shore Sports is very familiar with and adept at mitigating to ensure that we get the closing and keep your clients happy. And then so as a quick summary before I turn the floor back over to Cassandra, just looking at some of our capabilities versus the typical bank. I know every bank's going to, maybe be able to get 1 or 2 different things done here, but at Shore Sports, we can go up to 110% financing. Typical guys are going to qualify for up to 75% financing. Minimum credit score, we don't have one. A lot of typical banks are going to say, look, I need them to be over 620, or we have to rescore them, or this or that. The ability to make a cash offer, your banks, that's great. Unless you're going to take your own money out, your bank's not going to give you the ability to make a cash offer. Customizing payments, as we all know, mortgages traditionally, first of the month, every month, doesn't matter if you got paid the month before or not. That's when that mortgage payment is due. So Shore Sports, that's a non-issue. And then minimum closing time for most mortgages. For professional athletes, I know some people are going to say, well, I do mortgages for my clients all the time in 45 days. A lot of professional athletes, most professional athletes, it's going to take 60 to 90 days to get that mortgage done. For us, our minimum turnaround time for purchase of residential real estate would be that 2 days.
All right. I am going to quickly wrap up. I know we got to kind of get you guys out of here. So I just kind of highlighted a couple things that really does make us different. Our athlete exclusivity, not even on the front end, we completely understand, who our athlete clients are, their personalities, their needs, their wants, their desires. So that really kind of makes us different. We're not just putting their information into our system, and kind of whatever spits out is what they get. We understand that the athletes are very got strong personalities. They're looking forward, so we're looking forward too. We're faster and we're cheaper. We've kind of beat this one to death, but I can't say it enough. We're going to put your clients in their home faster, and oftentimes a lot cheaper than elsewhere. Our repayment is customized, so huge win and advantage for your clients, that they're not going to be making payments in the off season. If they've got an accelerated contract, their payments can match that. So we're going to make it as easy as possible for them to get in the house, but also to stay in the house and continue to maintain, their lifestyle and cash flow, and hopefully have the ability to invest in second, third properties with you as well. Something huge, we never, ever charge a prepayment penalty. So two places that's really big in real estate. One is if a player is all of a sudden relocated, he needs to get out of the home. He can wrap that up, be done with that particular property. We can move on to the next location. Additionally, with no prepayment penalties, we can get your players right into a mortgage, generally within 30 days, if that's the route that they choose to go. And most importantly is approvals. We're gonna get your players approved. We want to get them in the house. We can look at 15, 20 different houses a day, but if we don't have a mortgage approval or financing approval, what good is it? But here at Shore Sports, we're going to make sure that your clients are getting those opportunities. We will turn over to some questions now. Jordan, anybody? We are open to hear kind of what your feedback is, and if you have any specific questions, concerns, we are here.
Yeah, I think, Eric, you had a question. I think that it's important to know if there are like downsides to closing in, the 2 days and things like that. Like, so maybe there are advantages to you guys from a business perspective of trading off the convenience and the ease of use and all that to maybe be a little bit more expensive in a couple ways, similar to only putting 10% down and paying the mortgage insurance in return for putting down less money, which is a trade-off.
Yeah.
Is there, just for full transparency purposes, is there like a, Can
I jump in here, Leon, if you don't mind?
Sure.
So all of these products are going to be, certain ones will be the best option for certain players. So it really does depend on the player's situation. The majority of the time, the benefits do outweigh the cost. Definitely different facilities cost different money. But, when we're looking at, you referenced the private loan, if we're talking losing a $200,000, $250,000 deposit because they have to close in 2 days, we're still, although the cost of that private loan are a little bit higher than what a traditional mortgage would be, we're still saving the player from losing his deposit. And if cost is an issue or concern, we then do our best to roll it into a traditional mortgage as soon as possible. If you're talking about, our business financing for real estate investment properties, well, time is money too, especially to a professional athlete. So if you want to spend all this time, in front of a board with the financials and this and that, trying to get approval for some of these investment properties, it might cost a little bit more to get that type of loan, but is it not worth saving the time and energy it takes to get an approval traditionally? Additionally, if we can get you into that investment property sooner rather than later, that income comes sooner rather than later.
And I've had a couple instances where you have repeat customers through my sphere, business managers. They're just going directly to you guys. I'm calling Leon. We want to buy it. I'm just going to call Leon. He'll take care of it. So I think that there's a personal feel to Shore Sports, like you said, Leon and Cassandra. Having just the exclusivity with the athletes is really an interesting business model, because you're probably leaving some opportunities, at the door to make sure that you have the exclusive type of relationship I'm sorry, I have.
Please, it's not just me.
But yeah, I want to make that clear. That there we go. That you guys, I think, from a personal level, and we always talk about concierge service. Your name is very strong in this community. So.
Absolutely. And just one thing, Eric, when it comes to the conventional loan, so we always break out what our fees are so that they can be seen. But when you say is there an extra fee, I'm talking about the combination of what you can see the money costing us plus our fee will still come in with the word competitive at or around below within an eighth of a point basically of what you're going to see on those conventional loans. So you will see what Shore Sports is actually making on a deal, but the combined amount should even out or be cheaper to what you're going to see on a conventional loan done somewhere else. So we are for profit, but we will show that, and inclusive of that will be competitive and or cheaper than the conventional loan.
Yep, and a couple other places too. When you're looking at, kind of any upfront fees, you're able to make a cash offer and see the cash savings there. That's another way, if you're saving 8%, our fees are coming in less than that. It really is kind of a no-brainer, and you don't have to wait the 45 to 60 days to get in the house and all those other wonderful benefits we talked about. We had a client who he actually relocated. He purchased a property, a commercial real estate property with a contract advance, and he ended up making $1 million on the property. What was it, a year or two after he purchased it, Leon?
Yep, about 18 months. Yep, about 18 months.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so I think that's an awesome point. Can you just quickly highlight, Cassandra, how it's a cash offer without the player actually having the cash in hand? I think that's a phenomenal value add to somebody that has a contract that's guaranteed. So
you're exactly right.
Getting the deal on the real estate.
You're exactly right. We can offer pre-approval letter for that as well. Leon, I'll let you kind of speak to that.
Yeah. So this is my fun part. So I believe that the commercial property was listed for $3.6 million. I think in this case he ended up buying it for $3.1. With the fees, I want to say it was about $3.15, just below $3.2, and he flipped it out for about $4.2, $4.3 in about 18 months. So keep in mind, had he bought that warehouse, he was still going to make some money on it, but by being able to go in on a cash offer, he was able to just crush it, hit it out of the park. And so we have a host of those stories littered around our past, and so that's that's a play for a lot of our players and your clients going forward.
I have a quick question. So first off, thank you guys for being here. I text Jordan to thank him. I didn't know anything about your guys' services, and I don't mean to be a smart aleck when I ask this, but this seems like a no-brainer for all professional athletes. Is there any reason why everyone wouldn't use you? And to that same point, how can we, obviously besides sending clients to you, how can we help you guys build your business? Because, I mean, this just seems like a no-brainer.
So I think a couple things. I think there is this common misconception that we're an alternative lender. So when it comes to real estate, we seem to be kind of the last resort when something goes wrong. So if you think about all the real estate transactions you see, when something does go wrong is, up until COVID, it probably wasn't that high. So I think that's problem number one. So what I say to everybody is, if you have a financing need, let us take a look at it. We're fully customizable. We'll put together a couple different options. We'll talk through exactly what you and your player are looking for. So we can say, here's scenario 1, here's scenario 2, here's scenario 3. We can kind of go whatever route you go. And if you don't move forward with us, it doesn't cost anything to let us look at it. So I would say that's my number one caveat that I tell everyone. Just give us a call. Let us know. I think in the mortgage space, people just don't know to look for another option other than a traditional mortgage and or what their realtor is offering. So my job as a marketing manager is to make sure that as many realtors who work with professional athletes know who we are and know these things, so that it is a no-brainer. So you'll call us.
Barry, I'd love to also add a quick piece of that. A lot of athletes are working with their financial advisors who are attached to banks who are motivated to sell their mortgage, not the best mortgage, just their mortgage. So, hey, you have to put down 40% because we can only qualify you for 60. So keep that in mind while you're looking. Well, that's not really the entirety of the market, right? So, player X goes out with you or another realtor, and he comes back and he calls his guy who works at Bank of America or Merrill Lynch, and he's like, we can qualify you this or we can't qualify you for this. So at 22, 23, 25 years old, which a lot of those athlete clients will be, they may not know, hey, I can just go to market with this. That's where you come in.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a catch-22 sometimes with the Bank of America problem, but I may.
Yeah, I'm not knocking on Bank of America. I don't. They bring us a lot of business too. So those advisors bring us a lot of business because some of those advisors realize, hey, we can do products that their bank can't do, and as long as their bank says no, then we're the next phone call. So we get a lot of their clients.
It's also, I'd love to introduce you guys to the financial advisors that we work with too. So, not everybody knows about this. So, so it's 3:55 Eastern. Does anyone have any final questions or no? Okay, great. So I want to thank you guys for your time. I have a dinner to make in the other room, but really appreciate you guys' time. Are we good to share your contact information with the group?
Please do.
As a follow-up? Okay, great. So we'll do that. And I will be in touch, Leon and Cassandra, for tomorrow. We'll follow up, and then I'll introduce you to everybody. And this is recorded, and we'll get that out. So.
Okay, thank you so much for having us, Jordan. Thank everybody for listening and all the great questions. Cassandra, you're fantastic as always. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. It was nice to see you all. I hope to talk to you soon.
Look forward to it. Take care. Stay safe.